Well, here we are again, artists. And today we're talking about animals. Finally, we are to that point in the jungle where we are discussing the actual animals that Henri Rousseau painted. Now, behind me, you're going to see my pitcher plant drawing. This is my drawing. I finally finished it of my pitcher plant. I hope you're still working on yours, and please don't forget, send me a photograph of your, just a snapshot of your pitcher plant to one of my emails, and then I can add your name to the bowl of names out of which I will pull one person to actually become the owner of a pitcher plant from California Carnivores. You still have a few days to do that. Please don't hesitate to get it done. The more names in the bowl, the better. All right, so last time we looked at this picture. Remember? We talked about this painting. We just looked at it. Notice the huge bunches of bananas in the background and observe that those bananas are as big as the lion and the jaguar that are fighting in the front of the picture. Notice the size of the flowers, and especially this one right here, this white one, this humongous, gigantic flower that almost looks like a waterfall in the picture. Things are not in perspective. They are not the right size. Look at the leaves in his painting, leaf by leaf by leaf. And now let's look at the animals. Holy macanoli. Do you see that this lion has just bitten the head off of this jaguar? I wonder why. I'll explain in a moment. But first, I want to show you another painting. And the theme is going to be familiar. Check this one out. A tiger fighting a water buffalo in the jungle. Again, we have these humongous bananas in behind. And look, now we have orange trees everywhere. All right, let's talk about this for a second. Number one, do water buffalo live in the jungle? Of course not. How would they get around with those giant horns on their heads? Do orange trees grow in the jungle? No, they don't. Let's look at our lion again. Do lions live in the jungle? Boy, no, they live in the savannah. They live on the grasslands. And what in heaven's name is he doing biting off that jaguar's head? I'll explain. But before I do, let's look at another one. This is very puzzling. Check this one out. Here we have a jaguar. Observe, it's exactly the same jaguar as he drew the last time, but this time he has a head. And notice that in this picture, the jaguar is attacking a black shadow. For a moment, stop. Look at that plant behind our characters. It's a cactus. Do cactus grow in the jungle? Nope, they don't. And look at the size of our flowers. Now, let's talk about first the fact that everybody's attacking everybody else in this jungle. Is this because Henri is a violent person? Is this because Henri likes violence? No. The fact is much simpler. Henri was poor. Henri was hungry. And in his imagination, he created a place where there was always food for everyone. Henri didn't know where animals lived. Henri had never seen a real lion, or a jaguar, or a water buffalo. In fact, he'd never seen anyone who lived in the jungle either. But Henri didn't really care if his pictures were accurate because they were all journeys into his imagination. Henri was hungry, and the jungle was a place where food was plentiful for everyone. But then we have to talk about the humorous elements of his pictures. For instance, we're looking at this lion. Okay, we know a lion doesn't live in the jungle. We know a lion lives in the savannah. And look, this lion has gone into the jungle and he's bitten the head off the jaguar. Made a bloody mess. If a lion were going to attack anything for food, he would never attack the head of an animal. Heads are hard. You could break a tooth. In fact, when an animal goes to eat another animal, they always attack to the belly, to the soft part where the meat actually is. Notice that in our water buffalo picture, the tiger has also attacked the water buffalo in the head. Isn't that funny? Henri doesn't know anything about how animals eat. These are wild animals. There were no such thing as zoos then, and the only pictures Henri had of animals came from a book. He had a very special book, the Book of Wild Beasts, and he kept that book. It had pictures of all kinds of animals in it. They were all photographs in black and white. Henri could reproduce the animal exactly as he saw it in the photograph. Look at this. Our jaguar attacking a native. Here's Henri's painting of the shadow person and the jaguar. Here's the actual photograph that he was copying. Notice that the jaguar is just about in the exact same position. And notice that our native person is in the exact same position as well. Isn't that interesting? He copied. Well, we know that's perfectly okay. Henri had never seen a person who lived in the jungle, but he had heard them referred to as black people. So when he painted the jungle native, he painted that person black. He had no idea what kind of clothes they wore. He had no idea what kind of hair they had, or what their eyes looked like, or if they were blue or brown or what color. Fine. Henri just didn't paint them. He painted the person black, like it's a shadow. It's in his imagination. He can do it any way he wants. I want to talk to you a minute about skin color and why some people have very pale skin and some people have darker skin. Do you know what that's all about? It's kind of interesting. If you were someone like me and you have very pale skin, that tells you that my ancestors came from a very cool climate, a northern climate, where there was not a whole lot of sun, a whole lot of rain, and a whole lot of cool weather. Consequently, my ancestors didn't need protection from the sun. So there's not very much pigment in my skin. Pigment is the color you see. Now, as we move down toward the equator and the weather gets warmer and warmer and warmer and warmer, people start having more pigment in their skin. If you have brown skin, if you have dark brown skin, that is because your ancestors came from a hot climate and they needed to have protection from the sun. Their skin would have been damaged. They would have gotten sick and died. That brown pigment protects their skin from the ultraviolet rays of the sun. That is the only difference between a person who has light skin and a person who has darker skin. Isn't that amazing? All right. Henri has made many, many jungle pictures with lots of what appears to be violent activity going on. But class, it's just eating. Henri was hungry. I want you to see a couple more pictures here of Henri's jungles. These are my favorites. Henris Monkeys. Henri loved to paint monkeys. Check this out. Here are some monkeys in the jungle, swinging from the trees, sitting in the bushes or in the grass. And notice all the oranges. Henri didn't know. Henri thought monkeys ate oranges. Or maybe it's just that Henri really wanted an orange. Oranges are kind of rare in Paris and very expensive. They're a semi-tropical fruit. They need lots of warm weather to grow. So here we have these. Wait a minute. Notice the oranges are coming right out of the tree. Is there a monkey throwing these oranges to this guy? And check this guy out. You can see legs, you can see arms, but you can't see anything else except that he's definitely trying to catch those oranges. Henri used his book of wild beasts to figure out how to make those animals. Here is an engraving that he copied to make those animals, those monkeys swinging from the trees. Here we go. Look at this one. Oh my goodness. Nobody seems hungry in this one. They must have eaten all the oranges. But check out all the different kinds of monkeys that you can find in this picture. And finally, here we go. There's monkeys in the tree. There's monkeys on the ground. There are oranges everywhere. Henri's jungles came from his imagination. Henri's jungles were all about food. I promised you a special guest today. And he's here. You might have noticed me looking over here. He's here. And I wanted you to have an opportunity to actually meet an animal from the jungle. And I happen to have one in my own family. And I'm going to introduce him to you now. Let's see if I can get him out. Come on out, buddy. He's in his very special carrying basket. And he's kind of large. So I don't want to hurt him. Takes a minute, class. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, he's still coming. Oh, I gotta support his back. Holy mackerel. Class, I would like you to meet Sir Hiss. Sir Hiss is a ball python, and his family comes from the jungle. Check him out. See his tongue moving? He's smelling. Isn't that great? He's smelling. He's going, where the heck am I? Oh, look at him looking. He's looking and he's smelling his surroundings. Sir Hiss is 26 years old and he's 5 feet long. He's full grown. He is a ball python. Pythons are squeezer snakes. They bite their prey and then they wrap their coils around it and squeeze it. This snake has been my daughter's friend since he hatched. He was so little he didn't fit around her wrist. And she used to dance with him. He's a retired dancing snake. Check him out. Look at this beautiful pattern. Isn't he gorgeous? Do you think he would have good camouflage in the jungle? Look at all the beautiful colors on his skin. Yes, he would be very hard to see in the treetops, wouldn't he? Yeah, he wants to look around. He says, wait a minute, I'm busy here. I want to show you another snake. This is a photograph. And in this photograph, you are going to see a different kind of python from the jungle. This python is a Burmese python, and he is being held by 2 people. The young one right there with the big smile on his face is my grandson. This Burmese python is very special. You'll notice that his color is very light. He is an albino snake. Now, do you think that this camouflage would be good in the jungle? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think he'd be easy to see, don't you? Yeah, not like his. My grandson had the opportunity to hold this snake when Classroom Safari came to visit him in his classroom for his birthday. Classroom Safari is a fabulous organization with amazing animals from all over the world. They have fuzzy ones, they have spiky ones, and of course, my grandson's favorites, they have reptiles. I strongly recommend them as a fabulous way of getting up close and personal. You can invite them to come to your party, to your classroom. They are fantastic. Hopefully some of you have had the opportunity to meet Brandy and her amazing collection. All right, this is Sirhis. Look at these patterns. Isn't he just beautiful? Ball pythons are very gentle and they make very good pets. When a ball python is frightened, he doesn't strike at you. Do you know what he does? He wraps himself up into a ball to protect himself. Now, I've never seen Hiss that frightened. Hiss is just very gentle. He's used to being handled. He's used to being around people. He's even used to dancing. Isn't that something? Okay. Today, we are going to draw some animals for our jungle scene. Look at it. Oh, he's really excited now. He's like, who is this? Where am I? Am I on TV? Look at that. Let's see if I can get him to go back into his basket. Sometimes he doesn't like to go back in his basket. No, he says, I want to play. Maybe we can have him come back out in a few minutes. See how the time goes. Now he's slowly, notice he's holding on to me with his tail. Yeah, he's got his tail around me so he doesn't slip. He's 5 feet. I think I mentioned that. If we were to stretch him out on the ground, he would be 5 feet long. Look at this. Whoops. The tail doesn't want to go back in. Look at that. See, now he's looking for some place to hold on with his tail. Yeah, there he goes. He's looking around. He hasn't decided to go back into his basket yet. Got to keep an eye on him. We don't want him going for a slither across my studio. All right, today we're going to try drawing some animals. And this is going to be practice. For next week, when we actually set up our composition. And then, oops, I was going to use my grandson here. Okay. How's that? All right. Get the drawing board a little closer. And today, so that you can see, I am going to draw with a marker, okay? Because I want you to be able to see. Next week, I think we should be drawing in probably crayon to draw our outlines to set up a crayon resist. But if you're lucky and you have oil pastels, don't be afraid to use an oil pastel next week to draw, to make up our outlines like our color book page for the painting that we are going to create of the jungle. Now today, I think I will put a zebra. And I think this zebra, now remember, we want to use, I almost forgot, we want to start with simple geometric shapes. Simple geometric shapes. And his body is going to be an oval. Then he's going to be rearing up like that. I don't know if I showed you the white horse in the jungle. I'll have to show that to you maybe next week. He's going to be rearing up. Oh, he's rearing up. I wonder what's happening. We're not going to be able to see the rest of his legs because he's going to be hiding in the grass. That's what Henri does with his feet, because Henri doesn't know how to draw feet. Henri never learned to draw feet. Henri's not very good at drawing feet, okay? So he just ignores them as much as possible. Now, I'm going to put in my horse's neck. Think about the shape that a horse's neck might be, or it's a zebra, right? And then I'm going to put on his head, Okay, the head would be an oval and then kind of like a stumpy triangle with another oval on the end. And now we have kind of a head shape. He's going to have a couple of ears, and zebras have kind of long ears, all right? And here he goes. Make his neck a little wider. All right, they have standy up manes. He's going to have big eyes because he's kind of frightened. Oh, I wonder what he's scared of. We'll see. Remember, the jungle is all about food for Henri. He needs to have some stripes. So I'm just going to quickly put some zebra stripes in here. I don't want to spend too much time drawing. I want you to, oh, look at that. Here, look at that. You can't ever make a mistake in art. Did you see that line I had in there that was just kind of hanging out? I turned it into one of my stripes. And look, I can even turn that face into a stripe. Look at that. Look at that. Holy mackerel. No such thing as mistakes in art. There are only opportunities, okay? And if it doesn't turn out right, it's not that big a deal. Oh, he needs some stripes in his mane too. Okay, and give him a little more hair up here and give him a stripe there. All right, now I wonder why he's looking so kind of wild. Give him a nose. Okay. Ah, I know why. Because check this out. Here comes Sir Hiss. Sir Hiss still has his tail sticking out of his basket, but the rest of him is inside. Sir Hiss is coming down out of the trees. Coming down out of the trees and checking out our zebra. Here's his face. You know, the face is kind of like a triangle shape. He's got fat cheeks. He's got two big eyeballs. We saw those, right? And he's got a tongue. He's going to be smelling our zebra with his tongue. Pretty good, huh? Now, he's coming down. He's coming down. He's going to wrap around. We can't see the rest of him. I presume that's hanging up in a tree. Now we're going to put some patterns on him because remember, he truly is a jungle animal. And so he does have camouflage. Does a zebra live in the jungle? No. No, they live out on the plains with the lions and with the elephants and the giraffes. They don't live in the jungle. Henri didn't care. Henri was creating his jungle from his imagination. Now, I told you that Henri never got to see these animals for real. The fact is, in those days, there were no zoos. Henri had his book of wild beasts that he could look at, but there weren't any zoos that he could go to. In fact, the story's kind of sad because in those days what would happen is very wealthy people would go out to Africa and they would capture wild animals. They would capture zebras. They would capture giraffes. They would capture lions, and they would bring them back and put them in these teeny tiny cages. And then they would put them on display at the center of the cities, like in the center of Paris in a park. They would set up like a sideshow. And they would have all these caged animals there in these very small cages. They didn't really know how to take care of these animals, and these animals never lived very long. But hey, after all, if they die, you could just go off and get more. They would charge people to come in and look at their animal collection. And if the animals died, they just went back. After all, there were thousands and thousands of these animals in Africa. It didn't matter if you took one or two. Or did it? Look at where we stand 200 years later with so many of our beautiful animals on the verge of extinction. You know, zoos today are pretty wonderful places. Most zoos are there to conserve, to help care for, and to help, in some cases, reintroduce animals into the wild. Zoos are very different from the collections that traveled around in Henri's time. I don't think he ever got to see any real live animals. He had his book of wild beasts, and he just imagined how they were in the wild. Now, the plants are a different matter. Henri could go to the conservatories. There in Paris, his has gone back in. I'm going to put his lid on now. That way he won't go for a slither. In the conservatories in Paris, there were these enormous, extensive, beautiful, magnificent plant collections. They were inside great, huge glass buildings where the gardeners could control the heat and the humidity. And that way they could grow cacti from all over the world. They could grow exotic orchid plants. They could grow banana trees and orange trees. And Henri could actually see them for real. In fact, he talked about the fact that he would go into the conservatories, sit down on the bench, and dream. And dream of his jungles where there was always enough food for everyone. Now this week, I want you to be thinking about what animals you want to put in your jungle. And next week, we are going to begin our composition. Next week, we are going to draw our jungle. Hope you enjoyed meeting Sir Hiss. I enjoyed bringing him to you. Don't forget, draw every day. And I'll see you next time to finally create our jungle. Have a good day.